Good morning. Nice of you guys to drop by.
What a piece of junk. What are you talking about?
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed.
Look, don't worry. Everything's gonna be fine. Trust me.
I don't know what all this trouble is about, but I'm sure it must be your fault. Don't get technical with me.
This bickering is pointless.
Don't everybody thank me at once.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
How
could you even say that?
I got a bad feeling about this.
Well, come on. Everything's perfectly all right now. We're fine. We're all fine here now. Thank you. How are you?
Would you get going, you pirate?
Get in there, you big furry-o! I don't care what you smell!
I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
If what you've told me is true, you will have gained my trust.
I like the sound of that.
Get a shuttle ready.
I don't know. Fly casual.
Shuttle Tydirium, what is your cargo and destination?
Transmission commencing.
Hey everybody, thanks again for tuning in to the Shuttle Tydirium podcast. We are the mothership of Casual X-Wing. I am your pilot, James Chadwick, also known as Hey Chadwick, and I have next to me my co-pilot, Baba Ganoush, sometimes known as Phil.
Hey everybody, I'd just like to remind everyone that in the unlikely event of a water landing, please allow the cabin crew to disembark first, so that they can assist you as you disembark out of the emergency exits.
Right. And don't forget, grab your nearest Ewok as a flotation device.
Yeah.
If there's any alive ones left. And I have sitting back here as well, we have our cranky protocol droid. We have J-Bot. How you doing, J-Bot?
I'm still a little in mourning after the events of our last trip, but I think I can muscle through it if we continue to move and not really bog down in the past. I
made a name tag for R3 Astromech as part of the crew, and I still have it in my pocket. It is pretty sad.
Do you guys know if we had insurance for him? Like, are we gonna have to pay for that? Is that like the corporate thing, or is that?
I thought that he never made it to the show, to the to the shuttle. He never made it. We never saw him.
I just want to know if we're liable.
No. Any way we can get out of it, no. And I understand Jake's pretty broken up about it too. He's been working on the engines and stuff, but I think it just crushed his spirit to have R3 blown.
Yeah, he's pretty broken up about it. He's sitting down in the cargo hold, trying to put those pieces back together, but it's not a whole lot left somehow.
Well,
it's almost as if the blasters just kept on firing over and over and over.
Well, you know how Gonk is. Sometimes he gets a little, anxious, and he enjoys pushing buttons.
Yeah, Gonk is a little crazy. I did tell Jake actually to go remove the remains to a easy to identify location to avoid any insurance claims.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Just see me when we get landed, and I'll point you to a list of nondescript dumpsters and things that I just happen to keep a list of. You never know.
Right. Excellent. Well, I'll go ahead and jump straight into a short captain's question. And it was something I wanted to bring up last week when we were talking about R3 Astromech the card. And I was really, because I mentioned at the beginning, is how will these cards affect Here's a Turi Cluster, Hot AC? And do you two think that people in Hot AC will actually use R3 Astromech? Like, I know people aren't really for it in tournaments, but when it's the idea of keeping your guy alive, your character, it's a little bit different, and you start viewing that extra evade option as a much better option to have.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the reasons that R3 Astromech wouldn't work in a normal tournament game, you can sort of work around in Hot AC. So, number one problem is that, in a normal game, you can't guarantee that you're going to be firing first, right? So, if you're like the last one shooting, then
doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah, it's useless. But in Hot AC, you know there's going to be a bunch of Pilot Skill 1 TIE Fighters in almost every mission. So it's going to come in. It's going to trigger a lot more often. All you need is that that focus result that you can that you're not using essentially on that attack that you don't convert to a hit. So
yeah, I think I can see it being used because the preponderance of the TLT Predator combination for people taking Y-Wings, to me it seems like, well, if you've got this opportunity to roll 6 dice, you really only need one focus on
it's only primary weapons.
Oh, it's only primary? I'm sorry.
Yep.
Then, that messes that up too. But that would have thought that would have made a good idea, but then the BTL one would work with it. So
true, if you had it in R. Because we did have someone tonight who used the BTL Y-Wing with TLT. And actually, I think he ranked up the most experience because I didn't think you'd really it'd be as easy to get people an arc, but he kind of slow rolled and I think he always had a shot. It was good.
Yeah, that's the trick with those BTLs. I have a list that my Damn the Torpedoes list, which runs a couple of those and some headhunters, and it really is a kind of a slow roll sort of list, and it can get in trouble if you got a bunch of arc dodgers and things. But against the kind of AI generated, you're going to at least get one solid turn of them just really jousting and charging straight at you. That BTL with the R3 doesn't sound like the worst combination. You could just take a ranging shot with the primary, and you still have the TLT behind it to kind of just plink away with damage. And of course, with Predator, you get lots of rerolls.
Yeah, so but I will say, I agree that it can be used. In fact, tonight we had one of the Sling Paint guys. They took a break from podcasting or video YouTubing, and came and played Hot AC. It was his first time playing, and he actually took R3. He wanted to take it, so he really kept wanting to. There was a few times he just couldn't quite get it to work when he wanted to, but so I think we'll see it more. But it was cool to see him try out Hot AC because he's been doing 100-point deathmatch for a while. He said he's getting a bit burnt out on it. So it was good. It was good. There is one thing. Budgernaut on the FFG forums came up with this, and I really like it. We tried it tonight, and it worked out very well. I think you will like it, J-Bot. The idea is you pull your experience points that you gain for the mission to the very end, and then you split it up to everybody. Even split as much as possible, and then whoever's got the least experience points or the least, upgrade, pilot skill upgrades, all that, gets the leftover ones. So like we played tonight, and we did very well. It was the first intro mission. Everybody was a starter character but my guy, who was PS3. And we ended up, everybody got 9 experience but me, I got 8 because I was PS3. So it was a really nice split of experience, and everybody did pretty well with it.
Yeah, I certainly like the idea because obviously I enjoy playing more defensive type of builds, in a sense more team-oriented, to help people out. And I've heard a lot of people that want to do the same. They want to make the kind of Hawk build where you're passing out focuses or foci and that sort of thing, but it does cut back on your XP unless those foci are being used for actual attacks or defenses. So pooling it seems to me like a really interesting kind of balancing trick for the whole party. If you're kind of sticking together, it seems like every role-playing game I've ever played, that tends to be what it is, and maybe one player gets an extra one for some crazy thing that they did. So I could see using that as a rule, and then those missions where the person who did the most defensive actions gets one, that would be one that player actually keeps, if that makes sense. I don't know if y'all did that or not, but to me that makes sense.
We just kind of said whoever didn't have the enough at the end, like whoever was lowest got extra. It turned out that everybody else was PS2, new character, but me. So we had like 4 out of 5 players, so we had 4 extra XP, so it turned out perfect. But it really did help tone down, who shoots first? No, you shoot first. No, you shoot first. Because I want you to wound him and strip his token so I can finish him off.
It eliminates a lot of that internal conflict. You're really, working as a team now to just do the maximum amount of damage, not trying to ensure that you get the maximum amount of XP personally.
Party efficiency over personal efficiency.
Right. Yeah, I obviously am a huge fan of the cooperative side of it, and the more cooperative you get, the better to me. So I actually like the idea. I'm interested to play it.
Excellent. Well, so that's my captain's question. So tonight we have two things to go over. The first is a bit of news for the Fang Fighter. And the next we're going to talk about the Mission 17, Disable the Relays, in the Imperial Veterans Pack. So first we want to talk about the mission.
Stand by alert. Stand by alert. Death Star approach. Estimated time to fire range 15 minutes.
Yahoo! Got him! I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky! Chewie, get us out of here!
So this came in Imperial Veterans in the pack, the one with the Defender and the TIE Bomber, and it's Mission 17, so they're already up to 17 at this point. Now, I should mention, so we had voting on the Facebook page for the Facebook group, Shuttle Tydirium, and who had the best Akbar voice, and by far it was Phil.
Thank you.
Phil's the best Akbar. He gets the golden Akbar.
Somehow that stupid Gonk droid beat me.
Right.
Gonk droid got a surprising amount of votes.
Yes, the Gonk droid beat out. Did he beat me out?
He had like three votes.
He beat me out then.
Yeah, there's some kind of weird, what do they call it? Like a crowd surge of independent voters there at the end that wanted Gonk to be brought up. That's just, I can't believe it. I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah, so Gonk even beat me out, which is pretty sad. So, yeah. So I guess it pretty much was a Phil, and then Gonk. Yeah, and I got one. So, thank you, Joe Boss. Joe Boss Red 7. He's the only one who voted for me. Thank you. All right. Okay, so I wanted to go with that. But since I really like the mission, so J-Bot, I think you've got the best mission reading voice ever. So,
mission log. Coming out of a barrel roll, the elite Imperial pilot throws down the throttle for a burst of speed while chasing the stolen TIE Defender. Infiltrating rebel operatives have managed to steal some ships in the chaos of a base invasion. The Imperial pilot grimaces. These rebel scum think they can get away with anything. The comm chirps. His captain comes on the line. Gamma 3, what's happening up there? I'm out on the tail of a thief, sir. He's flying into the asteroid belt. He must have discovered our relay scramblers. Gamma 3, we need you to destroy the hidden rebel relays parked on the asteroid before he can destroy our scramblers. Copy that, Captain. I will blow the rebel relays, then get back to the fight. Those rebel relays have spread disinformation and seditious signals for weeks. Without informing the rebels of the Empire's awareness of the devices by destroying them, the Empire had recently planted their own relays to scramble the signals when needed. With the base invasion on their hands, those scramblers were now blocking any calls for rebel reinforcements. The veteran Gamma pilot enters the asteroid belt and readies his weapons. If the rebels manage to destroy our scramblers, he thinks, they'll have a chance to turn around their failing assault. He grins with fierce determination. Not if I can help it.
Awesome. I love it. Awesome.
But those two guys sounded a lot alike. Maybe they all sound the same over the comms or something.
Yeah, they're probably the same squad. They hang out alike.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea is the rebels are planning an invasion. They put out some relays to do propaganda and such. The Imperials find it, but if they blow them up, then the rebels know they blew up the signal. So they put out blockers. They basically block the signal. The rebel commando squad hits the base. It's not going well. One guy jumps to a TIE Defender, and he goes out to meet some friends, and he's trying to blow up the Imperial blockers.
Right, the signal scramblers.
Signal scramblers. But then the Imperials are going to blow up the rebel relays to stop any help from coming. So if whoever wins the base, basically.
Yeah, it makes sense, I think. If the rebels need those relays to call for reinforcements, I assume.
Right, and they get reinforcements, and they win the strike on the base and capture it. And if the Imperials can block it, they can, basically
drive
mop
home
up
whatever advantage they've
Yeah.
gotten there.
Yeah.
I think I basically buy the premise. It's a little weird that going into the mission now that the rebel pilot stole a ship that had the special anti-relay bombs on it. Like, where they just
It was convenient.
Did all these ships have them? I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, well, they loaded up. I don't know. So
okay, whatever. But
it is cool that the Rebels get the TIE Defender with the X7 title.
Yeah.
So the way it works is Rebels get the Glaive Squadron with X7 title, and it can get one point cost Elite Pilot Talent, APT, and then it gets 60 points that it has to spend on 2 to 3 ships. So no, like, Fat Han. It has to be 2 to 3 ships. And basically the Imperials get a Gamma Squadron veteran with, here's the funny part, proximity mines and cluster mines. So TIE bombers only get one buy slot.
Do they have cluster missiles or something? I thought there was a missile.
Nope.
They start off with
proximity mines and cluster mines.
Huh.
So the TIE bomber only has one bomb slot, but it gets 2 bomb types.
Yeah. Weird.
And then it can equip one point EPT on that. And it also gets 60 points that it has to put in 2 or 3 ships. Because my first attempt running this, I made a list. 4 TIE fighters. Great. Oh, crap. It's 2 to 3 ships, not 2 to 4 ships.
Classic Jim there, trying to cheat right at the beginning. Oh, I've read the instructions. I know what's going on. Just put them on the table. Let's go.
Trying to win before the game starts,
Yeah, it's a bit weird that they get so many bombs. Although I always thought that the bomber should have had 2 bomb slots anyway. So
it does kind of make sense for the name of the ship. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times people came over to the table and like, what the hell is that? You playing with a rebel list with a Imperial ship on it? So it's certainly an interesting look.
Yeah,
right. But I'll say I really like this mission, and I thought it was very interesting and a lot of fun and challenging. I think I might have lost more than I've won, or tied. It's very close. Very frustrating to me in some regards.
Yeah, actually, really
bomb shots.
I really enjoyed this mission, believe it or not. Win or lose, it was fun, and it's a different dynamic. It goes into a touch of, and I know I keep bringing this up, but it's a very good observation by Phil, is it does have a touch of the suicide run on it, because you do get your main ship, the Defender or the bomber, back if it dies. So there is a touch of like, I'm just going to charge Hell's Bells for the target, and then if I die, I can always have another one just pop back out of the generator behind us. Somehow another rebel operative just happened to find the right ship, and
so
there's
for your ship to die.
Yeah, exactly, just right behind him somehow perfectly. So there is a touch of that, but really it didn't come that much into play for the games that I played.
We didn't have any reinforcements in the game that I played either.
I think most of the games I played had one ship blow up.
Yeah, we did definitely have one. In the 2 games that I played, I lost I can't remember which one I was playing, but I lost mine, and I also killed Jim's on one of them. That was kind of my plan. I'm just going to gun everything I have for that one ship, and force him to kind of backtrack and start over again.
We should go into detail about how we set up for the mission before we talk about our individual
good idea.
So, Jim, could you read? You have the mission.
Yep.
Out, right? I don't have a good one in front of me.
I want to summarize because I don't want to read word for word, but basically, you have 6 asteroids. You take turns. Start with the Imperial to spread them out. These 2 from the board edge. And here I'll say it actually is important to spread out as much as possible, because if you clump them all together, then basically it's...
And you can clump them in this mission. There's no minimum range restriction. So you can put them, adjacent to each other.
Right.
Like a normal game.
But basically, if they're able to get close enough to get one, they can quickly swivel to the other and blow up both of your relays.
Right.
I recommend
you want to be able
out.
You want to be able to put the enemy relays The relays that the enemy needs to go after, you want to put them on asteroids that are far away from each other.
Yeah, I kind of like sticking one out on the far side on one, and then as closest to my starting point on another.
It's interesting. I didn't think about this the first times that we played, but when I was watching, I guess another playthrough of it, it kind of dawned on me, knowing the struggles that Jim and I had. We can go into the details of it later, but basically blowing them up into the details of that, I would, after having looked at all this, put those relays on the smallest asteroids that are available. Like, I would purposefully find those 2 little itty bitty ones that came in the newest starter set, and just, those are my 2 that you're going to have to shoot down, because I think the first time through we put them on just kind of the medium and large size ones, not realizing how much easier that that makes. Doesn't add the degree of difficulty of really lining the shot up.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point.
You know, I wonder, because I've played this 5-6 times, and we played it one time. I wanted to see for the heck of it. After we had that 20 asteroid 4-way fight last time, we actually played this mission with the 20 asteroids still on the table. And
that was brutal.
It was absurd. It was very hard.
Yeah, I without thinking, I was like, oh yeah, I'll make a 60-point list, and without even thinking, I took a fire spray, and it was like, that was it spent the whole game just like, I will go over every asteroid that I have and somehow not get damaged by them, but not really be able to do anything the entire game.
Right.
I wasn't thinking. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take a fire spray. This will be fun. I haven't played one of those in forever, and it just waddled around the board the whole game.
And I had the TIE Defender, and going fast through an asteroid field without all the quite turning maneuvers was actually hard, and I had a very hard time setting up the the shots, because I could K-turn through a debris field. Oh, I'm stressed. Oh, I couldn't barrel roll when I needed to line up the shot. And it was very frustrating. So 20, I think, was too much, but I think I could see this being, interesting with it being more than 6 as well. Like, and I thought about it. It's just try like 9 asteroids. That's base 6 plus, half as many more.
The thing that I've noticed here, Phil, is that ever since Jim tried the 20 asteroid game, and this was a few weeks ago,
Cuban boy,
it's almost like a drug. Now 6 isn't enough. He's desensitized to 6. How about 7? Come on, anybody want to play a 7-8 asteroid game? And you're like, no, I want to play 6. And it is a lot of fun, but it's just funny to watch him. He's like, I want 6. I guess we can do 6. And he's like, how about 9? He's trying to talk people into 9.
Yeah.
It's just funny to see.
A lot of asteroids, it can be a lot of fun. I've done a lot of missions, double asteroid counts, stuff like that.
Yeah, it definitely is. On that 3x3 table, it compresses the space really quickly. Especially if you keep that range 1 spacing between everything, and actually allow it to go, I guess, within range 1 of the edges too. It really compresses the board very fast, even with just a handful more.
Yeah. So you guys enjoy this mission? I'm not.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm not. I kind of like it, but I feel like there's something lacking. So after my playthrough, I didn't have a warm and fuzzy about the mission, because, and it took me a while to figure out what I was missing from it. But I think that I was missing strategic decision making in this mission. So I think that me and I and my brother, who I was playing with for this mission, we both basically realized that going after each other's bombers, the disruptor ships, was really the right call. And really the only correct call for your escort ships.
I don't know about that, because I played Cuban Boy,
and
he focused on my spare ships, and he blasted them out pretty regularly, and then I was left with just my my bomber ship, and he had all his ships right, and I couldn't win at that point.
Yeah, I think that, if you... Here's the thing. Okay. So you basically have two decisions. You have two options with your own escort ships at the beginning of the game. You can either attack the enemy escort ships or attack the enemy disruptor ship. Or I guess you could have a generalized attack where you don't really pick on one. But really, it's one of those two. If you attack the enemy escort ships, the enemy has two options. They either engage you with their escort ships, or they ignore your escort ships and target your disruptor ship. And in both those circumstances, the enemy disruptor ship is not being attacked by your fighters, right? So it has sort of it's left free to make its bombing run unmolested. And I think that this can work out in a few ways, but most of them are bad for you. So let's say you attack the enemy escort ships, they engage you, and in that scenario, it's sort of a mirror match at that time. So the escort ships are fighting, the disruptor ships are making their bombing runs on both sides. So it's really a wash. So you haven't really gained any advantage there. If they ignore your escort ships and they target your disruptor ship, then first of all, the enemy disruptor ship is unmolested. It's making its bombing run without you doing anything about it. Meanwhile, your disruptor ship is under attack. So if you're the Imperial player, this could be a real problem because it's not super hard to take out a TIE bomber with 60 points of ships before it makes those two bombing runs. If you're the Rebel player, it's not so bad because the Glaive Squadron with the TIE X7 title is significantly more tanky. Because it's got those two actions, both of which can be used on defense. So it can have focus and evade every turn. And it's got the same amount of hit points, essentially, with three shields instead of hull. And it's got an extra green dice. So, it's got a lot going for it defensively. So if that's your disruptor ship and the escorts are going after it, I think that you'd probably be okay. But if you're the Imperial player and they're going after your bomber, there's a real good chance that they take out that bomber before it does its two runs. And in that case, you've got your disruptor ship that's been taken out and has to be, gets stuck in a corner far away from its target. Meanwhile, the enemy disruption ship has been making its bombing runs, and when I played with my brother, it took me 4 turns to do both bombing runs, and it would have taken him 5 turns. Like, he was about to do his final bombing run right after I finished mine. So I think it's really important to go after that disruption ship early.
Well, I played it a number of games in a number of different ways, and I've had, say, like my bomber go off on one end, and all my escorts to go for the enemy disruptor ships, and I've played it a bit of mixed, and we both go in there for the same kind of disruptors that are near each other, and I've seen like a lot of bumpage. I've seen a lot of, and so I found that if you can shoot at the disruptor ship, you go for it, and if you can't, there's a lot of times you can't. You shoot for another ship. And so it wasn't as, I guess, binary or mathematical as you make it seem, with the discussion. And I think, and part of it also is, I think if you went with 9 asteroids, it would be even a little crazier with the whole maneuvering around.
Yeah, I think basically your decisions are pretty much the same. Obviously, if you're going after the disruptor ship and you don't have arc, and you do have arc to a escort ship, then you shoot at it. There's no reason that you wouldn't do that. But I think the target, you should always be trying to go after the disruptor ship. Unless you're counting on the enemy missing their bombing runs. if the enemy is going to miss their bombing run, then it does make sense to go after the enemy escort ships, because then you set yourself up for the long run.
I also found blocking can matter. If you can get your escort ships blocking in a fashion where, you're blocking the escort ship, that is a big important thing.
Right. You want to block the enemy disruptor ship to mess up their bombing run. Because there's, once they're making that bombing run, they're gonna be fairly predictable in their movement. So you want to put a ship in a position to screw up their bombing run, so they miss that, and that can cost them a lot of time. I think that's actually probably the most effective way to go after the enemy disruptor.
I think actually talking about the bombing run mechanic now is important, and I can say that it's not easy.
That's what I found so funny. That's what I found so funny with Jim, is that it was every turn he was panicking, and he was. I guess it's best to kind of explain it, and I'm going to get this wrong, I know. But it's like the beginning of the combat phase, you drop it, and then at the beginning of the next activation phase is when it actually fires.
End of the next activation phase.
End of the next activation.
So after everybody moves and does their actions, before you start shooting, you can drop the bomb. So you put the bomb, one behind you, put the little bomb down, like a little seismic charge type thing. And then you fire, and then everybody moves. And after everybody moves and does their other actions, then the bomb goes 5 forward. So you sling the bomb, basically. And it moves 5 straight from where it was and lands on, and basically, if the actual template lands on the asteroid that the beacon is on, it blows up. Or if it lands on top of the base of an enemy ship, or a friendly ship for that matter, it takes 1 damage. None of this range 1 nonsense.
Yeah, face-up damage card.
Wait. I don't know if that's right, because I think that's what we did the first time, and it was backwards from that, because it was a break of a turn, wasn't there?
What we had it, we would do it and sling it right away. Is what we started off with. We were wrong.
Well, see, that's what I meant. I thought it went over the end of a turn, like it.
Right.
Like so one phase you drop it, and then the next
you place it, and then you do all your shooting, and then you do your movement and everything for the next turn, and then it slings.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like the way it sounded, as you were saying, it was like you drop it at combat, and then it went at the end after everybody was done shooting. But yeah, it is
at the end of everybody's turn. Next movement. Yeah.
Yeah, the next turn's activation phase.
And so basically, when you're setting it up, it's because 1 behind you and your base is 1 length. You have to basically be 3 in front of it.
Right. So the bomb gets deployed like a normal bomb. So at the end of a 1 straight template from your rear, and then when it does go forward, it goes 5 straight forward. So it goes back to, essentially, from your base, from the front of your base, and then 5 straight. So it's a net like 3 straight.
Yeah,
so
but it is hard to gauge. Like tonight, I had set up, I had a straight run on the asteroid, and I went for it, and I freaking went and I overshot it by like 1/2 inch. Maybe less.
The funny thing is, there's no limit, so you can, like, Jim's taking ranging shots, like every time he gets okay, I've made my turn, woo, let me fire one and see, okay, that now, so he can kind of see the next turn what he needs to take. But that's why the timing of that is so important, because you have to drop it now, like it's your combat phase, and then pick your dial before it goes forward. That's that trick, is to keep you from taking that ranging shot. Like, oh, I'm 2 away from it, so I can go 2 forward, and then I know for sure next turn I'm gonna hit it. So you have to. I believe that's the reason they make it go across a turn, so you can't do as much of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So I haven't done a ton of bomb drops, but I am 4 for 4 on my bomb drops.
I've actually done really well, surprising, considering I don't play bombs very often, and I don't have a lot of ships that move that like a 5 forward.
Yeah.
So I was judging everything based off of a 3. I'm like, I'm really familiar with 3 forwards. Let me base it off of that. And the trick for me was, I've got a ship that can do barrel rolls and things. And if y'all remember from last time, I'm not super good at barrel rolls, but somehow in the games I played, like I was lining them up, and Jim was just missing everything. He'd be like just enough to the left of it that it wouldn't hit, and I'm sitting there laughing. I'm like, how am I lining these up perfectly every time? And he's struggling. Actually, I'm pretty sure I'm the reason you won that last one, because I accidentally blocked you with my lumbering slave one, and he actually blocked him perfectly so that when he fired it hit. If I hadn't been there, he overshoots that thing again, and that was. Just
but actually, I planned on the slave one being there, to be honest.
Oh, I don't believe you. There's no way you did that.
But there was another time also that you did miss it. Before that, you had a shot and you missed it.
that was the. Because the way we understand it, because it's not an attack action or anything, you can do it landing on an asteroid.
Yeah.
So I had planned this thing. I'm like, I wonder if Jim's realizes I'm going to land on the asteroid and still fire this thing. And it was just that type thing. I just angled it wrong. If I had taken a 2 bank instead of a 1 bank, it would have been perfect. But that was the one turn I needed to finish it. But, the one thing that was funny is, I took a card I'd never used before. What was that called? It was the EPT is an interesting choice because it's a 1 point EPT.
Right.
And I think Jim and I both took crack shot on one of them, on one of the games.
Yeah, on one of the games. Yeah.
The one I took. Yeah, the one I took was Adrenaline Rush, and that was the savior because it actually let me do the barrel roll at the end of a red maneuver to get it perfect. It's like, ooh, I can do my 1 bank or my 1 sharp and then still have my barrel roll because of the adrenaline rush. I'm like, oh, I can't believe I planned this ahead. Where did that come from? Sort of thing.
I took not adrenaline rush, but lightning reflexes.
Oh yeah.
To let me do like a white move, and then so lightning reflexes after you perform a white maneuver, you can discard lightning reflexes, flip your ship around 180 degrees, and then discard. So it's like a K turn on demand.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. So if you do miss it, you can
right.
kind of perfectly. Oh man, I need to go 2 forward and turn instead of a 4 forward sort of thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
I wonder, Phil, if you had it easier because you were playing Vassal and you had a better top-down view.
Could be. That could make it a little easier to judge the 3 straight. Although,
how were your asteroids set up? Did y'all like the first time Jim and I played it? We put them too close together, at least the 2 tokens too close together, so it was easy to kind of hit one and sweep straight into the next one.
So we essentially had our asteroids in the 4 corners of the table. So each of us had 1 asteroid right in front of our deployment zone, and there were 2 asteroids fairly close to each other in the 2 corners. And then we each put 1 of our relays right in front of us, and then in a corner. And our relays, the 2 different relays, went in a different corner. So it was like a relay in each corner, and we each had 1 relay to our left, and then in the opposite table.
Yeah.
Corner.
So you had
1 in each corner.
Yes, You're basically forcing somebody to go, like the opponent to go through you to get to one of them. Is what your idea was.
Basically. Yeah. So you can sort of predict the flight path of the enemy disruptor ship and then go for it.
Yeah, I actually chose a different tactic. I think on the second run through that Jim and I did, and I put neither of them close to my deployment zone. I just put them as far away from each other as possible. So. Imagine in your instance, I put 1 in both of the corners that weren't starting zones, or as close out as I could.
No, I think that's good too.
Yeah, just to force like kind of even if it was a sweep, it would be a long sweep between them, and it wasn't super predictable because he could go for either one. They were kind of the same distance away, but once he kind of commits, it was, or at the very least, I think what I did is actually went all towards one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'd sent everything in my lumbering slave 1 through 20 asteroids down
to 20 asteroids changes things too.
I put that to 1 corner and or towards the one out on one edge, and it was tough. He had to go through all of that if he chose that direction, and just kind of meandered my way around. It really was an interest. I think I enjoy it because it's so interesting. It does require kind of perfectly, in a lot of ways, lining your ship up while you're taking fire and trying not to get it shot down. So you're trying to be evasive, trying to not do anything stupid and get yourself stressed or land on an asteroid while you're trying to hit another asteroid with a perfect range 3 shots, or not range.
And I put my beacon next to his beacon in that corner because I could try to defend mine at the same time blowing up the other. And so it created like all of us and everything to that corner starting off.
Right.
The funny tactic for me was I did this purposefully. I took, and I'm going to call this for the rest of time now, a stealth fighter. I took a stealth fighter, and I was like, I know what Jim will do. I'm going to put this, and I'm going to send it towards the other beacon. And he was like, I got to kill that thing. And he was so distracted for like 4 turns trying to kill that thing.
No, I actually sent Porkins. I sent Porkins after it.
Oh, that's right. That's that stupid Porkins game that he could not miss. Oh, another 3 damage. Oh, another 3 damage.
Yeah, Porkins was awesome.
Defend that,
like,
Mr. Stealth.
Like you were cloaked in all stealth, and I was like, still.
Oh, he blew that thing in half in like the
first volley.
Perfectly okay. 3 dice straight through my meager, crappy blanks.
Wow, it was great. Porkins saves the universe.
But it was funny. Like, I know Jim's going to go after this ship. He's going to send everything he has after this ship.
I didn't, though. I didn't. So this might be a good time to talk about just what did you have interesting list options? Like, did you have good strategery or list building, when you were doing it?
Just like many other missions, I went with a very aggressive escort ship list, just because I didn't expect them to be the target of attacks, and I needed them to put out a lot of damage quickly. And that's often the case in a mission. It's very often best to go with a maximum aggression style list. So I had 4 Black Squadron pilots with crack shot, which may not have been the best. I think.
Wait, 4?
Yeah.
You can't have 4.
Yeah,
2 to 3.
Oh, is it only 2 to 3 for?
Yes, that's why I originally had 4 TIE fighters.
Now
looks like I wasn't the only one to cheat here.
Yeah. I think it would have been actually better for me to take a couple of TIE bombers with homing missiles, actually. So.
Yeah, the aggressive list is kind of what I went for. I actually took Dash on my first list that I beat Jim with, and I was like, to hell with these asteroids. I'm just gonna plow straight forward with them and blast everything in my way, and it worked. And I didn't have to do a lot of maneuvering, which is fun for a big base ship like that. I really should have done it in that 20 asteroid deal, but I was playing Imperials.
I'll say I had fun with. Well, I guess one of each, I'd say, of the different sides. So, because 60 points is kind of difficult to really kind of get, like 3 good ships in.
Yeah.
I took Porkins with R3 and 1, which I'll say was bad because Porkins is not getting shot at because everybody's shooting at the
disruptor ship. So R3 was bad in that regard. But I took something like Porkins, it was kind of high up. I took the attack shuttle with Zeb and auto blaster turret because it was 20 points or so. So the attack shuttle from the Ghost. Right. No, that's not a bad idea.
And that was, and with the auto blaster, because there's all sorts of crazy, getting in people's faces and blocking and such. And I took. What else did I take for the last one? I think I took a Y-wing. I can't recall the final ship, but I liked the attack shuttle and kind of the decent X-wing for the Rebels, and then it was a Y-wing with turret, I believe. And then for the Imperials, I tried one tonight that I really liked. It was Lieutenant Colzet in a TIE Advanced with advanced targeting computer. So he's what, like 23 points. I've never used him before. His special ability is if you have a target lock on someone at the end of the turn and they have a face-down damage card, you can flip it face up. I thought it'd be great to use on the disruptor ship. But it turns out I never actually really got to use that too well. But just to having that extra crit thrown in was really nice to help punch through. Because the Imperials have, or the Rebels have the TIE Defender with the Evade and the X7 title.
Right, it can be tough to put damage through on that ship.
Yeah, it was pretty resilient to damage because I think I lost my shields and took a crit, but he was still alive and he was still flicking out damage. I also had a singular test pilot, which is the low PS2 level V1, and you could just grab the target lock and get the evade. That helped kind of his offense and survivability for not all that many points, which is nice because he's not really going to get attacked that much, and he could also block a little. And for my last, I put Mauler Mythil because getting all in the big scrum, usually if you're sending them at each other, there is a bit of a bump up or close range, and Mauler Mythil gets that extra die at range 1, and it worked very well. So I actually really like that Imperial list.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I've got a question for you guys. The reinforcement mechanic in this mission. What do you think it adds to the mission, and what do you think the mission would be like if it just didn't have this reinforcements at all?
I think it becomes the pure suicide mission you're talking about. Just kill their disruptor ship and to hell with everything else. But knowing that if I kill that ship now, it might pop. Obviously, it depends on your layout, but in one of the games with Jim, he killed mine, and it was perfect for me because it let me pop it out way away from the scrum and just charge as fast as I can towards the last token to shoot at. And I actually don't mind it in this one because it makes you have that choice. Do I just leave this one here and just try and let it have one of the shots and then just box it in and not really let it get back out either through bumping or even ion? If you took ions and stuff and just said, I'm going to keep this ship here so it can't get to the next one.
Well, it can't be assigned ion tokens.
Oh, that's right. That one can't. That's right. This one has that stupid, I don't make any sense.
Probably for that exact reason.
Yeah. I forgot about that one. But the idea is still the same, is try and box it in and keep it from going to the other one versus just destroying it. I know in the first game with Jim, I just blew his out of the sky because he hadn't hit the first token yet. I was like, he hasn't gotten to the first one. I'm just gun it down and make him start all over. But depending on the layout, I don't mind it because it makes the opponent make that choice. Do I kill this ship knowing it could pop out and have a clean run without any ships to defend it towards one of the other tokens, or do I let it, in a sense, continue with its mission but maybe take a lot longer to get there?
Yeah, there was a time when he had the damage disruptor ship and it had 1 or 2 health, and I should have just waited the turn so I was in a better spot and then blasted it to pieces, as opposed to killing it then because he had just blown up one of my beacons and he restarts and can make a clean strike on my next, and I should have let him waste a turn of repositioning and then done it. So I think there was some strategy involved in when you actually kill it, and I agree. If you don't have the mechanic, I was like, why would I ever shoot at any other ship than your disruptor ship? I will do nothing but just shoot your thing, and it's dead. I win. The end. Haha.
Right. I mean, unless the enemy can also kill your disruptor ship.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a death match after both disruptor ships are dead.
Yep, it's a straight death match, and you might have picked the wrong crew for that, or the wrong escort ships for that type of fight. So I don't mind it. I do think it would become too much of the classic. I'm just going to gun everything for one ship and hope for the best. If you didn't have some form of kind of respawn mechanic in it.
Yeah, although that it is very. I think the target always ends up being a disruptor ship anyway, though. Even with the reinforcement mechanic in place, more often than not, you're going to end up shooting at the disruptor ship.
Well, but you see, I had games where that wasn't the case, and actually, I had my opponents clear up my fighter screen, and it actually was pretty darn effective. So I know what you're saying, but that wasn't how it always went for me, and it actually worked all right in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, it works if your opponent misses a bombing run.
Yeah. I will.
God help you if you miss a bombing run. That's that almost spells doom if you miss one of your bombing runs, because it's so hard to turn back around in either of those ships and then get yourself lined back up correctly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I played someone tonight, and I don't think he played aggressively or well towards the the objective, and I had the bombing run blown on like turn 3, and he still hadn't even dropped his mine yet, his bomb to try for the first one.
Getting your bombing run is extremely important in this mission. It's very much a mission that the mission completely depends on your ability to maneuver accurately, which is a interesting mission type.
Yeah,
I never really had a mission like that before.
I had a lot of problems with it.
Maybe that's why I enjoyed it so much.
Player, but I had a lot of problems.
Maybe that's why I enjoyed it so much, because it did require more kind of fine-tuned accuracy in your maneuvering. And you're like, I got to get this, and you do have a little play, because the template's about 3/4 of a one move. The little bomb template is, so you do have a little bit of play in the range, but it's still close enough that you need to have a good eye for the distance on stuff. And my toughest thing is the turn. It's always like, because a one turn or one bank and a two bank are significantly different in how far they'll go. And for at least from what I could tell, the barrel roll doesn't kind of split that difference. It's like, I go a one bank or a two bank. Oh man, I need to be halfway between these two to line it up. I can't barrel roll and get to either one of them, because Jim was having that trouble. He's like, I got the asteroid. Oh no, I'm going to miss. Let me barrel roll. And he's on the other side of the asteroid and misses it from that side too. So
it's easy to barrel roll and overshoot.
Right, and that's what was funny to me was it doesn't seem like it needs to be that accurate, but then you kind of actually, oh crap, you do have to be pretty accurate with this, and I enjoyed that. I actually enjoy the flying part, and I've said before, if my dice actually rolled average in any way, then I feel like I'd be a much better player at this game than how I am. It's I have a phantom with 4 dice, blank, 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 blank. Oh well, that was quick. Let's play again. It's like I've got him locked up.
How do you guys feel about the Rebels getting the bomber and the Imperial, or the Rebels getting the Defender and the Imperials getting the bomber as their disruptor ships? Do you feel like that was
I'd like to try.
Fair? Because I don't.
I don't even think we considered trying it the other way. Just I know that was the way it's designed, but I don't think we even considered flipping the ships.
I'm not talking about flipping. I'm talking about both sides getting the same model ship.
Oh, okay. Well, even that would be.
Well, okay. I understand. They got the Imperial veterans, and they've got one of each. You don't know.
Right.
You could not have anything else.
Yeah, that's definitely why it is the way it is.
I didn't mind it so much because I think I played more with the TIE Bomber, and I'm actually better with the TIE Bomber than I am with TIE Defender. I played both, actually, even before the fixes and all. But I think the TIE Bomber has... Like, the TIE Defender is faster, and you're encouraged to go fast with the X7. But if you get it wrong, you're screwed. And I think the TIE Bomber can do things a bit more with the various banks and turns, and barrel rolls to kind of more of the mid-speed.
Well, it can mess up if you're willing to, because it's actually got a bomb loadout too. You can be a little bit more aggressive with it and just hope to screen anything behind you with those bombs. And it's different. It's definitely different. I enjoyed playing the Defender, even though I personally hate Defenders. I said it tonight, like, Defender, I don't remember if it's a 2 Defender list or a 3 Defender list, made me quit the game for like 2 to 3 months. Like, I just said, I'm going to go shoot zombies and play Zombicide or something like that, because I can't deal with this. This isn't fair. This ship doesn't make any sense.
And that was before the titles.
And that was before we quote unquote fixed a non-broken ship. We did a bunch of free crap. It's like, it didn't. But I played 2 Defenders again tonight and just got utterly frustrated again with it. It's like, I'm just gonna go a 3 bank or 3 sharp or 3 this barrel roll. Everything's white. Like, and I get to a free evade on top of 3 agility. What's the point? I got nothing I can do to get through that damage.
Just
the guy I played against rolled badly. That was the only reason I actually knocked the shields off of one of his 2 Defenders. It's like I destroyed his Punisher without much trouble, but the 2 Defenders I barely scratched because of the.
So, just a shout out, Minox Squadron podcast. Their latest episode title is "If It Ain't Broke, No One Flies It."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that just makes me think, like, competitively, they're very competitive. So if it ain't broke, don't flies it. So basically, only the crazy broken shit stuff gets flown.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's funny to me. It's funny to me because the guy I was playing tonight was like, "Oh, well, no one was playing it. That's why they fixed it." That doesn't seem like an excuse to me to go fix a ship just because no one's playing it. It's as an example, no one's using the munitions failsafe card. I've never once seen a person ever play that card before.
Yeah, but it's not a whole ship.
No, but you see what I'm saying? It's like no one uses it. Let's fix munitions failsafe.
Yeah, but you can't fix munitions. You can't fix an upgrade.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But that's the point that I'm getting to. Is it's like we might as well just cut that one out, put a free one in there that makes it cheap, and it's a negative point.
They have a vested interest to fix for two reasons. A, someone might have bought 3 defenders thinking that they were going to be good and then found that they were not competitive. And I think that largely speaking, they weren't competitive prefix. You can make, isolated cases like biophysical, but I think, it's safe to say that
I have to break in. Good. He did it. He was the first to do it, and he kicked butt with it. He did it stealthily. He's like practiced at home, and then went to a regional and kicked butt with it. And then I have to say, even before the beginning of the year, people were doing very well with TIE Defenders in their list before the titles came out in major store championships and regionals. So that I hate to say that, everyone says, biophysical is, he's an offshoot, but I think he was just a pioneer, and people actually started going, maybe I could do well with this.
I think he definitely inspired people to try it, and then people had some success with it. I don't think that that means that it wasn't in need of something. I mean, especially in those days, I think that was very much in the era of Twin Laser Turret. Twin Laser Turret really wrecks defenders without titles. I think it would be very hard to dispute that. And just in general wasn't it wasn't point sufficient. You really had to squeeze it, getting water out of a stone to make it work.
Okay, well, this kind of leads into our next topic a bit, which I just will briefly go into, because I thought that there'd be a lot of things coming out in the Fang Fighter that would probably help boost the Carax, because I've flown the Carax a bit lately. Not a lot, but just kind of like a low or mid PS guy who's just kind of filler in a unit, and he's actually, every time I've used him, he's raked a lot of damage up, and often he dies, not always, but often he dies, but I always feel like he gets his points back. And having something to boost the Carax would be good. And with the Fang Fighter, but after I read the preview article, I was left thinking, why would anyone ever take the Carax Fighter? Okay,
right.
This means there has to be a massive fix coming for it, with the epic ship for Scum whenever it eventually is cleared by, LucasArts. Because I feel like the Fang Fighter overshadows the current Carax so badly.
I think you're definitely right. I think there's fixes coming for the Seek. I think there's fixes coming for the Carax, and I think there's fixes coming for the Star Viper. At least those 3, possibly something down the line for the G1A Starfighter, the Miss Hunter.
I don't know. I think that's fine. Anyways.
Yeah. Well,
so, but here we go. So with is there anything else further to say on this Mission 17? I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I found it challenging. I think I might be even Steven with wins and losses.
I think that it's a little gimmicky in the end.
I think you need to try to play it more. I think you did enough.
I think they put too much importance on the bombing run at the end of the day.
What about you, J-Bot?
Oh, I think I enjoyed it. I like the mission. It's got some quirks to it, but it plays fast. I think that's part of the reason I loved it too, because it does play pretty quick, and that makes it fun. We definitely weren't finishing it in 4 or 5 turns though. So our games tended to take 10 or 12 turns. They went a little bit longer.
If you guys were playing in 20 asteroid tables.
Oh, even the 6.
No,
you only did that once. Even the regular games took longer. Just it just to get to the first asteroid, it takes 3 turns. So that's why it was taking so long. And that's if you just go to heck with everything that's around me. I'm just going to run straight at it. And that was that. Like I said, to me it's fun. It plays quick even that way. But that's part of it. You get to play more games too.
Right.
Okay, right. So let's move on to the Protectorate Starfighter, Fang Fighter, Mandalorian Fighter preview.
So the name is called Fearless. Is the title. A preview of the Protectorate Starfighter expansion. So it's called officially the Protectorate Starfighter, much like the M3A Interceptor is the Seek, and I don't. In the VT-49 is the Decimator, and I don't see anybody calling it the Protectorate Starfighter.
No, not really.
Yeah, it's the Fang Fighter.
They call it the Fang Fighter, or they call it Mandalorian Fighter. I've rarely seen anyone call it Protectorate Starfighter.
Yep, and it's from Star Wars Rebels cartoon, and they basically bump into his offshoot Mandalorian group, and they're kind of working with the Empire, and they kind of need to work through and they basically convince these guys to help the rebels out. But it's funny that they're scum because they're the Protectorate. They're not scum or villainy. They're really just more like third party.
Yeah, they're more like mercenaries.
Yeah, they were even like a little more good-hearted than mercenaries to be convinced which side was the bad guy.
Honorable mercenaries.
Right. But if you didn't know,
solidly gray faction,
If you didn't know, the center portion stays still, but the wings can spin around it. So the wings can do this all spinning around, shooting in the TV show. It's actually kind of cool. I'm just waiting for somebody to do it with magnets or something. But
yeah. Could be a little tough to do with the magnets, but would be pretty awesome to see.
I think if you, right behind the cockpit, if you separate it there and you put the rare earth magnets, so basically it's the whole thing spinning with just the cockpit knot, probably would do it.
Right. I think you would also want to change the position of the clear plastic rod connecting it to the base.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe take like a B-wing rod and stick it in through the rear engine. That might work.
I don't know. I think we just build holograms, but all right. So J-Bot, do you want to read the stats for the Fang Fighter?
Sure. From what I can see here, it's a pretty beefy ship, at least when it comes down to damage and agility. But it's 3 attack, 3 agility, 4 hull, and then no shields, which is something I'm not a fan of since I don't play Empire. But in a sense, it sort of makes sense for Mandalorian, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense. But that's a personal opinion. I don't know enough about the history of the ship to say whether or not that makes sense. I always got the idea from the Empire was, it's too expensive to put shield generators on ships. And I don't know if that's the same case with these.
Well, and also these guys are the Protectorate, so this is like their faction, and this is this faction. I think these guys are meant to be fast, agile, and get in your face and zap you.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't see them as much as like running around like heavy starfighters with shielding. They're very much, quick and daring style.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way from the skills and the upgrade cards and titles and things like that.
Do you want to read off the actions and upgrades?
Yeah, it looks like from what I can see, all of them have boost, barrel roll, target lock, and focus, of course. And so, it looks like every one of them has a torpedo slot and an elite pilot talent, which is not. Is that not what you're? Does one of them not have it?
The PS1 and the PS3, I think, don't have it.
No, the PS3's got one.
No, PS3 does have one. Yeah, so just the pilot skill.
I can't see the pilot skill one on the page.
Right. Yeah, but one thing that basically that means is auto thrusters. All your competitive people basically, if you don't have auto thrusters, you suck. So basically, you can get auto includes on these guys, which will help their survivability a bit.
Right.
But there's also the title that helps with the survivability a bit. Conquer Dawn Protector.
Yeah, so this title is only 1 point, and it reads
it's not limited or unique.
Yeah, you can have it on all your Protectorate starfighters, as it were. So when you're defending, if you're inside the attacker's firing arc and at range 1, and the attacker is inside your firing arc, so you're facing each other at range 1, you can add 1 evade result, which is
for every attack.
Super nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many attacks you really get this on, because you have to be facing all of them. So if you're like facing down a swarm of TIE fighters, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly how often that kind of thing would happen. But nonetheless, pretty awesome ability. Only 1 point. Takes up a title slot, which you're never going to use for anything else. It's very much an auto include, I would say.
Yeah. And so
I see no reason not to.
Yeah. Unless you're scraping for points and using it on the very cheap ones. I don't know. But I still think even the middle ones are nice. But if you're also, there was also an EPT that people couldn't quite see what it was, but there was, the idea of fearlessness is what it looked like. We weren't sure quite what it was. Scum only. But now they did release that one. When attacking, if you were inside the defender's firing arc at range 1, here we go, another bonus for that, and the defender is inside your firing arc, you may add 1 hit result to your roll.
So same conditions as Conqueror Dawn Protector. So you definitely want to be pairing those together, because they trigger on the same thing. So if you get that condition to trigger, you're going to be super awesome. You're adding a hit every time, and you're adding an evade every time.
Right. So you get in someone's face to joust, and you basically do more damage, and you evade more, no matter what.
So it's like you have an attack value of 5 when because you're going to roll. You're going to roll 4 dice, 3 primary plus 1 for range, plus an automatic hit result.
It's almost better than 5 dice because it's like ETC, advanced targeting computer. You add
4 dice plus a hit.
Yeah, and none of this add a focus result. It's actually add a hit result.
Yeah. So I think this it just rewards that jousting, close range jousting behavior so much that you'll really want to be trying to get that to trigger every time. Because it'll give you a fairly sizable advantage against the ship that you're facing off against.
Right. And just to kind of go over the one they had already released, Fen Rao, who was the leader of these guys, he's PS skill 9. When attacking or defending, if the enemy ship is at range 1, you may roll 1 additional die. So whenever you're in someone's face and you've got, any of these other, like even just the title, whatever, you basically, this guy is going to be, you could do push the limit at him because he's got the boost, and he is another PS9 arc dodger or in your faceness guy who can just rip you apart if he gets in range 1.
Right. It's another ship that really rewards that behavior. Let's see, the other unique ships, unique pilots are Cad Solus at pilot skill 6, and his ability is after you execute a red maneuver, assign two focus tokens to your ship. So this to me is like a Suntir Fel-esque, except that it does not pair at all well with push the limit.
Right.
Just the only way that people ever trigger Suntir Fel's ability. No one ever does like a Koi Grand turn to trigger Suntir Fel. But I think it's a cool ability, but I feel like I don't know what the dial looks like. Actually, does it have a 2? Yeah, it does have a 2 Talon roll. We can see that in the preview.
Right, and it says it's similar to a TIE Interceptor or TIE FO.
Yeah, so I think we could expect the 2 Talon rolls, and there might be another flip around maneuver. There might be like a Koi Grand Turn. There might be a Segner's Loop in there, but I wouldn't guarantee that there is one of those. They might just have the 2 Talon rolls to flip around.
Yeah, but with PS6, which is one hard, but also even the article says that maybe stay on target's a good option. And if you've got anyone lower than you, it's actually not bad because you can change it to basically almost whatever you want, and then you get 2 focus. So you can get like 1 for defense, 1 for offense.
Yeah, it's not a terrible option. I mean, I think that as with all arc dependent ships, so this is like, your classic arc dodger, and also to a good extent like a jousting type ship. Pilot skill is just really, really important. Because if you're facing off against higher pilot skill guys, and they have repositioning abilities,
if you're facing the tournament meta Imperial Aces, blah blah blah, if you go to a tournament, you're facing a lot of that crap.
There's a fair chance that you run into that, even in a non-tournament setting, because people adopt those play styles.
People can't play without their Sunterfell.
Sunterfell is really good. It's hard to leave him in your box if you're trying to win.
I do. If it ain't broke, no one flies them. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So, Old Tarok is the next one.
Now, this guy is pretty awesome, and I think that his ability works well at any pilot skill. So his ability, he's pilot skill 7, which is not bad. And he reads, at the start of the combat phase, you may choose 1 enemy ship at range 1. If you're inside its firing arc, it discards all focus and evade tokens. All focus and evade tokens.
Yeah.
Sunterfell. So,
yeah, Sunterfell. It also works on Sunterfell.
Yep. Also, just going to say, works on the ever scary Dengaru lists, I think. Let me check that. There may actually be...
Dengaru is Dengar with Manaru, who they date in our special friends in the books.
And basically, let me check Manaru's ability, because when does
Manaru will give you all focus and token and target locks and such that is on you
at the start of the combat phase.
Give it the other. So if you take like Recon Specialist, and then you slide it over, and basically Dengar gets 2 focus and all the other stuff.
Right. And if he has a overclocked R4 astromech, then he's going to be regenerating focus tokens also to give him infinite focus supply. Now, if you're able to get Old Tarok's ability to trigger against Dengar, then you can really screw up that strategy. You can completely negate that mechanic. The tricky part is the timing for both these abilities. So the timing for Manaru's ability and the timing for Old Tarok's ability is the same at the start of the combat phase. So I think it goes down to who has initiative.
Gotcha.
That ability will go first. So
also works on U-boats.
Oh yeah. I mean, although you have to be at range 1 inside their firing arc.
Yeah, but that's why I see he's got the elite talent. I see people putting Veteran Instinct on him.
Yeah, I think that it's almost always a good idea to put Veteran Instincts.
Right. Particularly for someone who wants to hunt Sunterfell down.
Yeah, definitely. He would be an awesome Sunter killer.
Yeah, or you can even do it on J-Bot, on those Defenders with the X7 title.
Yeah, any of that stuff that has a ton of those. I was actually looking, one of the lists that they provide or that they kind of point out as an interesting combination with the 3 Pilot Skill 5 Protectorates and then 1 Hawk, which I think is interesting. But the Hawk they chose, I'm a little curious on. I'm not really being a Hawk guy. I don't think I would choose Palob, however the hell they want to say his name.
Oh, he's awesome.
He's cool, but I'm taking Torquil because Torquil drops whichever one I want to a 0, which means all of my guys fire before whoever it is. And it's like, if I get them lined up, ooh, you're a 0. Congratulations, you're getting everything these guys get for a turn without a chance to fire back. So even the low pilot skill, like I could even take the lowest pilot skill ones of these, and theoretically, if I plan right, line somebody up and just take him out. Oh, I don't care if you're a 9 or anything. You're a 0 for one turn, and
but
you get to eat all that.
It doesn't do anything about the repositioning ability, though.
No, it doesn't. And
well, you see, but
that's
also
so important.
If you're jousting, though, I think let's say, oh, you've got shots lined up on Stealth Centurfell, who's got the focus and evade. All right, you put him down to 0, and you still have to fire through and get through the focus and target law, and evades in your shots, which maybe you just strip his tokens, make it less effective, and maybe do damage. But what I like about what Paylob does is he steals your focus or evade. So, Stealth Centurfell on 4 dice, no focus. That's a lot. You only even need to line up one shot. With the other one, you got to line up like a couple to really kind of make it effective.
Right, but you can also it's only a 1-point drop, but they've also got dorsal turrets and boba on it. And you can actually get a little bit more expensive pilot skill 7 guy that you're talking about as your hunter into that list by adjusting a couple of these pilots around. You can get your pilot skill 7 guy into that list without too much trouble. And
true.
That's where it's like, oh, I can take all of his focuses and evades, and he's a 0, and I've got somebody, like you said, one person lined up to take whatever shot he needs to. It's still like every game. You have to plan around it, and your opponent might see it coming and adjust for it. So it's all tricky that way.
Oh, I guess I would say that with this one with Paylob, because the other ones have like a tiny mind link, and if you had Paylob with a tiny mind link, you could actually steal the focus from someone, and therefore your entire list gets a focus.
Yeah, that's an awesome trick with Paylob.
So you have to drop like Boba Fett and add a tiny mind link instead.
Yeah,
but
mind link. They actually have a tiny. Yeah, the preview in this has the other ships have a tiny mind link.
Correct. Yeah, it has the tiny mind link on the rest of them. So
yeah.
I'm not sure why they chose Boba.
Instead of a tiny mind link.
It makes a lot more sense to just have a tiny mind link, especially since I think a lot of times with the Fang Fighter, I think you would want to use your repositioning abilities to get that sweet spot of the facing each other at range 1.
Right. Yeah, that's where. I was a little confused, and it makes more sense with Paylob with the Atani on this. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the Boba crew card.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to even get that many crits with that dorsal turret anyway.
Right.
Right, but we should also talk about the other generics that were released. We can just be kind of quick about it.
So there's a pilot skill 1, there's a pilot skill 3, and there's pilot skill 5. What's the name of the pilot skill 1? Zealous Recruit.
Zealous Recruit.
He clocks in at 20 points, which I think the probably the best comparison we can make is to the pilot skill 1. Well, I think the pilot skill 1 TIE Interceptor.
Okay.
Which is 18 points. So this has a hull over that TIE Interceptor. And then the only difference is it has a torpedo slot and a target lock instead of the evade. I don't think either of those changes help the Zealous Recruit very much, but more importantly, it has a hull up, one extra hull over the TIE Interceptor pilot skill 1, whose name I forget. Alpha Squadron pilot? I think so.
Yeah, Alpha.
It's not too bad. That do you guys remember like the last time you saw an Alpha Squadron pilot on like a?
Yeah, I tried actually five auto thruster Alpha Squadron pilots.
Yeah.
And my luck was really bad in those days. And I think at the end of turn 3, when I had one ship left, I gave up on the list.
Yeah, I think people did experiment with that list a little bit, but abandoned it because of the pilot skill deficit.
Yeah, I think I ended up getting, like, in that one particular list, 3 direct hits to kill off, like, The direct hit was the crit, and then that was the last hit, and finished off like 3 of my 5 interceptors. It was ridiculous. Mangler cannons came out right about then, and that just was bad.
So I guess the question is, does the Zealous Recruit compare favorably with that TIE Interceptor?
Well, you see, I hate to cross faction look with that. Look at it for the Curax Fighter. So the Curax Fighter is 19 points. It's got a shield. It's got going to have probably, I'm sure, a worse style. It does not have boost. And then boost, you can always add the 2 points to get,
Doesn't have boost or barrel roll.
But I think, boost or barrel. If you want to go level 20 blocker, this like a PS1 blocker, this guy with the boost and barrel roll is better as a blocker than the cheap Curax Fighter.
Yeah, you could stick that Concord Dawn Protector title on it too, which works well if you block if you've caused a little pile up of 2 or 3 ships. Then he would be pretty well protected against those guys because they're not going to have actions, and he's going to be adding that evade result every time.
Yep.
Even if he uses one of his actions to get into that spot, he's still in a pretty good advantage.
Agreed. So I think Zealous Recruit is a decent option, and he's got 3 attack dice.
Yeah.
Like I said before, the Curax Fighter with just 3 attack dice. Usually, there's a better something to hit. Something more of a threat. Just do that for a few turns, and those 3 attack dice is pretty brutal.
I'd say that his main, I think the main problem here is that, the pilot skill, as always, is rough for.
But if you're looking for a blocker, it's ideal for a blocker.
He's not too expensive. I think that
the
there are
one guy. Is there as a blocker? Like you're using him to throw out there and block.
Do you think this is a better blocker than a prototype A-Wing with a Chardan refit at 15
If you're on Scum, can you take an A-Wing?
No, but...
if you're Scum and you want a blocker, and one that just suck like a Z95, but you actually want a blocker that
Z95 is almost half the price.
Yeah, but... Well, at the same time, though, this guy can actually still fight, and he's got, you stick the Protectorate Dawn on him.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely better.
Yeah, I think he's a better blocker. It's just more options.
What about 2 Z95s against one of these?
I don't know. You might actually do better with the Protectorate. It all depends.
That probably depends. Depends on what you're facing.
Right. Should we move on to the Concord Dawn Veteran? You got that, J-Bot?
Yeah.
I don't have it right in front of me. I'm sorry. I was looking at the comparisons you guys were making. I was actually looking through my little fancy phone app to see the comparisons on them, and I noticed just randomly that the dial that they do show has one of the 2. I can never remember the different types of turns, but it's that basically the hard turn that does the rotation. It's like what the new X-Wing has.
Talon.
Is that what it is? Yeah, it has that as a 2. I assume it has it both directions because the one they're showing goes looks like to the right, which to me gives it a ton of maneuverability. I hate that maneuver on the new X-Wing because it's something I can't predict because I don't see it very often. But that by itself to me makes it so much more deadly for than 2 Z95s as an example. Those to me are like the epitome of jousting ships. They just kind of go forward. They can turn around and do that sort of thing. But this one's I can bounce out of the way of it and obviously still boost to turn almost completely back around into something.
Definitely has an advantage in terms of maneuverability.
Yeah, so it's got a better dial and it's got the boost and barrel action. So you can probably stick one of these things where you need it as opposed to trying to get the 2 Z95s where you need them.
Exactly. That's why I think, to me at least, the dial on this is going to be the make or break between it and some of the similarly costed ships on the Scum side. Is that this? It feels like from the way they're describing it, at least a little bit that we can see, that it's going to have a lot more maneuverable dial, more freedom on the dial than some of these other older ships.
I think it might be better as a blocker than some. It is if you're looking for that one blocker that if you're skillful you can get it to where you want it. That's that. All right.
So the Conquered Dawn Veteran is pilot skill 3, and same everything except it has an elite pilot talent, and it's 22 points instead of 20.
Yep.
So, that's pretty good for, I like having the pilot talent. Could be pretty useful there, and you can do things like put fearlessness.
Yeah.
For just 1 point. So, with the title and fearlessness, that's 24 points. You could put 4 of those in a list and have, a pretty scary little force that no one wants to take head on. You could sort of bully people around with that.
Yep. The only downside is if you're playing in the meta versus U-boats. U-boats are also PS3, and you won't be able to fire before them. If you were looking to destroy,
if you're looking to pilot skill kill them, you wouldn't be able to. If you have fearlessness, if you don't put anything else on them, and I don't know what you would in that hypothetical list, because I don't think you would be putting like a 1 point modification on them. Are there even 1 point mods? You would have you would be able to choose who had the initiative in that match, and that might help you in terms of arc dodging those and getting in too close for them to use their torpedoes. I also wonder how fast these things can go. I wonder if they have like a 5 straight. That could really help against torpedo boats.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know the Imperials enough, but doesn't it say in here that they're similar to the to a couple of the Imperial ships? And
I think both those.
Do those have 5s?
Both have 5s. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's supposed to be light and super fast. It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it's very possible. We'll find out. Then the next ship up is Conquered Dawn Ace, which is 1 point more, but gets 2 pilot skill more. So it's pilot skill 5, 23 points, elite talent, and torpedoes. So I like that they didn't make you pay 2 points for going from pilot skill 3 to pilot skill 5, because often that jump is not worth 2 points. I think this is pretty that's pretty fair.
Yeah. What I think they kind of try to sell the PS5 guy as being the U-boat killer, basically, how you can get, in a U-boat's face and destroy a U-boat in a round.
Yeah, I think they have that in the article, right?
yeah, like that's what they, because they talked about the U-boat killers out there,
right.
In this next wave. Everyone's like, what is it? What is it? I don't see anything that it is. And I think that's what they're saying it is.
If they have a 5 straight, this could be really very serious threat to U-boats.
Yeah, that plus the boost, being able to get in that close, that fast is an interesting opportunity. I'm curious. I haven't obviously ever played the 3 U-boat list. I've seen them on other tables, lots of other tables, and never actually played against one. But did they rely on a focus token, don't they? To fire.
So you could screw them up with the old Turok.
Yeah, that's what I was sitting there thinking. I was like, well, that means he's just as effective against them, getting in close as well.
The rub with that is that for Turok's ability to trigger, you need to be at range 1 and in their firing arc. So if those conditions are true and you're facing a U-boat, then the U-boat isn't going to be using a torpedo anyway, not against you.
Well, right, but he might be able to
shoot
keep him
a
from
guy in back of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep him from another one.
And taking the focus token is great anyway.
And with the boost, that might work. And so if you're able to mix it, and also think this is where the PS1 guy might come in handy, because a lot of people have switched from being 3 U-boats to having a blocker and then the U-boat, then the 2 U-boats.
Right.
And so what you could do is, with your PS1, you're going before them. You can stick out your PS1 guy to go, 5 forward and the boost and be the blocker, so that then that first U-boat comes up and bumps you, and then there's a range 1 of the rest of your other PS5 guys with the fearlessness one, and can light them up.
Could work. I think you would lose the blocker, the U-boat fire, unless you caused a pile up. But
yeah,
that's not a bad trade.
Yeah,
no, not at all for 20 points for that cheap one. Or
yeah,
you lost 22 or so guy. if you add a couple things to them.
Yeah, if you're able to take out their blocker.
Right. Oh, you destroyed one of theirs and you lost one of yours. Okay, I'll take that. So overall, but when I look at all this and I look at the price costs and everything when compared to the Carax Fighter, it's like very similar price costs, but it just seems so much better.
Yeah, I think that this is balanced against the current meta, right?
Yeah.
Which is, what they always aim for. I think they always aim for at or right below current meta. It's that gives them a little bit of leeway in case they miss something and something's a little more powerful than they expected, so they don't pump things up too much. But at or right below is a really good target, and I think they go for that. And I think that's what they go for here. And the Carax is just so far below that anything that they balance reasonably is going to be better than the Carax.
Well, okay,
yeah,
I will
seem
say,
that way.
With the Carax, I think it's not good in the current tournament meta with Arc Dodgers. But I don't think it's a bad ship in general when you play non-high-level tournament matches against non-Arc Dodgers. Because I've been reading some stuff about people. There's been threads about the Carax, and I've tried it all a bit. And sometimes it's surprisingly hard to kill, with those 5 hits and the 2 green evade dice. There are times I roll those 2 evades, boom. Or it can take even glitter.
I think
stamp.
it's a good jousting ship. Just joust. There's a very, you have to be such an incredibly powerful jousting ship to be competitive.
Yeah.
Because the Arc Dodgers eat them for breakfast. If they can arc dodge.
I think like 1 or 2 of these in a list with other threats that people will focus on more lets these guys get in and do the damage. And I think for a while Scum kind of has been needing something like that, though with Arc Dodgers they don't, the meta doesn't get it. But even in tournaments people have done well with like 5 Carax fighters or different things. So overall I read this stuff and I'm like, there has to be a fix for the Carax coming down the road because this thing's blowing out of the water.
Yeah, and there's no titles in the set right now for them, so it's an open slot, as it were, for them to make some kind of fix for it pretty easily.
And I kind of like my idea that I came with for the Custom Card League, where you have different titles, because of reading the history of the Carax, it's supposed to be a very customizable fighter. So why don't we have like different titles for it to customize it for different fashions?
Well, I look at that. I mean, that's something they could easily do for everything. They just have to be careful to keep one title from essentially unbalancing the entire ship, I guess is
right.
The biggest trick in all of that. Because every ship, theoretically, you could throw titles in there for, this was the name of so-and-so's ship in
right.
XYZ novel, so we're going to do that, and it gives it some special ability that they didn't really play test or balance well enough. And suddenly
I guess non-unique,
but everything.
Like, what if they say, there's a light Carax fighter, and it basically says, you get the astromech slot. Or there's, a heavy Carax fighter. It can take 2 modifications. And then you have, like, Talon Cobra Bane, who could get, like, vector thrusters barrel roll and engine upgrade boost, or, something along those lines.
Talon Cobra Bane. That's great.
Talon Cobra Bane.
I need to put dark, brooding Talon Cobra Bane. So we need to throw on some more names on that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I just never see him so much.
But no, I will say, as a whole, I'm excited to see this ship. I actually love the look of it, just as the design of the ship.
Yeah.
I think it looks like it's a very beautiful ship. My only concern is the price, not game wise, but $15 a piece, and it looks like you're going to need more than one. You're going to need a few of these to really make a very interesting.
It also
interesting kind of.
It also looks
unit.
pretty fun to play.
Yes.
I don't usually go in for Arc Dodger ships too much, but I am interested to put this one on the table.
And I think it could actually play as an Arc Dodger or as a Jouster. Like, it has...
Yeah, it's really a fusion of both.
And you can choose. You can be like, oh, Arc Dodge. But you know what? Here, I joust. I have the PSU. I'm gonna cripple you. It's good.
Right. It's an Arc Dodgy, style ship that can go head to head at close range, and really punch in the face.
And I like it as an Arc Dodger that if you make a mistake and it just happens to be caught right in front of somebody, it still has a chance to kind of survive that, assuming you're pointing in the right direction. But and it doesn't take quite as much as you'd think to really get at least a sliver of your firing arc on someone else. So I like it. It's interesting. It's going to be fun to play, I think.
Yeah.
Just a little bit fearlessness, I think, can be used elsewhere. One place for fearlessness is with Dengar. So basically, if you're in firing arc, you're in a range one of each other. Not only is he going to get the shots on you, but if you shoot at him, he's going to get his second shot at you with an extra hit added in.
Yeah, that's rough.
And also, what about a fire spray, Calf, or with Boba Fett? Because it just says firing arc. Auxiliary firing arcs count as well. So imagine
that makes me very curious to see how that plus the rear gunner or tail gunner cards
I was about to say,
kind of combo up on each other. You can see somebody get Calf plus a rear, was it tail gunner or rear gunner? Either way, tail gunner plus fearlessness could really chew somebody up if they get either positioned right or just accidentally get in the wrong spot with one of those.
That's only 3 points for both of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or Boba Fett, who wants to be in range one to get the rerolls.
Yeah.
Of offense and defense, and throw tail gunner on as well, and it may be engine upgrade to get the booster or whatever. And basically, he will get to add a hit and get all those rerolls for Boba Fett. And if he's doing off the tail gunner as well, that helps Boba Fett. Because Boba Fett wants to be in range one.
I would be surprised if we didn't see a bunch of firing arc of Fearless. Although, you do have to be in their firing arc at range one.
Yeah. But let's say Cobra Talonbane.
Cobra, he would also like this.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Yeah, so if he can live and get to range one, he's getting double. So he's getting, 5 dice, then adding in an extra 6th.
Yeah, he could really punch hard with this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I think he still might want to push the limit.
These sets could be very interesting just to see what. I mean, I don't think they show anything else that comes in it. Maybe it just comes with these handful of cards we've seen.
Yeah, I think that from the card spread, we can see everything has been spoiled.
Okay. But in general, no. I think the combination of cards with what we've seen right now in this pack and what we've seen already is going to be very interesting. And don't we still have at least one more ship or 2 more ships left to go?
One more.
One more Shadowcaster.
And that's the one with the crazy arc changing.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how that's going to work and what comes with it. And these, group of ships in this wave already have some very interesting card combinations that can change what already exists in a lot of ways. So
yeah.
And
I'm
even
really
fearlessness on those guys, because what was it? Because it's firing arcs, and so those have the mobile firing arc. And
right.
So Ketsu on you. At the start of the combat
Ketchup
phase,
on you? Is that what?
Ketsu Anyo, who's from the she's the one who's in the Rebels show. But at the start of the combat phase, you may choose a ship at range 1. If it is inside your primary and mobile arc, assign it 1 tractor beam token. So let's say even you bump or someone bumps you. Boop, you tractor beam them back so they're not touching you. They're -1 agility, and then blam blam, you've got fearless. You're adding in an extra attack.
Yeah.
Adding an extra hit.
And I guess that fearless would work because it's not just your primary firing arc. It works in a mobile firing arc too. I would assume.
Yeah. So
it
you've got
doesn't say specifically primary, so it.
And then there's supposed to be a modification that looks like it's going to let you change your firing arc some way as an action. So everyone's like, "Oh, well, you got to use an action to change your firing arc." Unless you get this other thing that might let you spin it,
Yeah, there's a way around that. There's a title, I think.
Yeah, there's got to be some form of title or modification that lets you adjust it without an.
I think it's actually the Shadowcaster title, because that's the ship is like a pursuit something craft, or the Shadowcaster is
the title lets you, after you perform an attack that hits, if the defender is inside your mobile firing arc at range 1 or 2, you may assign a token vein. So basically,
so there's either like an ability or an upgrade that lets you.
Let's say you're Ketsu on you, and you've got someone in your firing arc, already. Boop! You give them a tractor beam token. They're -1 to hit. You do all your attacks with fearlessness and stuff. If they're still alive, with a title, boom! You just add another tractor beam token. So anybody else shooting, that ship's at -2 green die.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'm glad they're giving Scum some more interesting ships. Hopefully it'll spread out the U-boats, and we'll see some other interesting combinations.
Well, it used to be only Brobots for how long? Like nobody did anything else. Brobots, just Brobots.
Oh, I got sick of those things.
The Brobot faction? Yeah, I played it. And then
there was some heavy Shizor with Z95s.
Woohoo!
But
I had it.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah, I saw some of those.
I played that. The guys in Nashville ended up nicknaming it Prince the New Party Generation. Which it was a very effective list. If my last game at regionals in Raleigh didn't have my dice just go so cold, I would have made top 16. So I was pretty excited about that.
Cool.
But anyways, I know we're getting late, and I threw in the last bit of fearlessness and how it's going to do other things for the Scum faction. So, yeah. I think it's pretty cool. This whole Fang Fighter is pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So definitely going to get like at least 3 of these. So mission accomplished. FFG.
Yes, here's more money. Have it. It's all yours.
My money.
Just go ahead and put my check direct deposited into your bank account. That way.
Right. Pre-tax dollars. But yep. So I know soon we're gonna, after Gen Con, we're gonna actually be able to interview the creator of Here's the Turi Cluster, Hot AC, and I know it's gonna be pretty exciting. And I think I'm gonna be whipping up my TIE Punisher mission to play with Jason because he loves TIE Punishers, where the Imperials are blowing up a pirate base. And I've been talking with Phil about making a decent mission where you've got the Imperials are trying to blow up the pirate base with TIE Punishers.
I think it's going to be a cool mission once we get it worked out.
Yeah. And the only problem I'm finding is actually getting enough Scum ships because I've got 3 Seeks, 2 Karaks. I've got 5 Z95s from my Shizor list, but finding other people that actually have enough of the other Karaxes and actually finding 4 TIE Punishers for the mission, because I've got 1, he's got 2. We're going to dig up a 4th one. So these are uncommon ships, but I want to use all these things. It'll be pretty fun.
Cool. All
right, guys. Well, thanks again for flying the friendly skies of Shuttle Tydirium, Endor between points elsewhere, and hope to hear from you guys next week. Don't forget to go to the Facebook page or the Shuttle Tydirium on Facebook. Just like us as an actual person to search. So, but the Facebook, we're having voting, conversations, all sorts of stuff.
All right.
And I have noticed a significant rise on the FFG forums of Here's the Turi Cluster discussion threads.
Yeah, I hope we could take a little bit of the credit for that. That would be nice.
Take all the credit. All the credit is ours. I don't think anyone even heard of this before. We dredged it out of wherever we found it.
I wouldn't go that far, but I think
it is funny to see how many threads are out there now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though. It's really nice to see. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys next week.
Good night, guys.
Night.
Awesome.